Hello, welcome back to Your Mama House.
Hello.
Today we'll be discussing mourning the parent that you need or maybe even desire. I know that for me personally, I think for a long time I had a lot of disappointments because I had expectations in mom and in dad when he was still alive. And so I had a hard time kind of processing that. But I feel like I'm in a much better space now and am able to talk about it more. It's not always easy. I personally had a lot of mommy issues, and I think things have gotten much better, but a lot of that was because I learned to let go of a lot of my own expectations. So I wanted to ask you,
That's a good point.
what are your expectations for mom, if you have any, and how do you feel like have been letting go of?
Girl, that's a loaded question.
It is. It can be heavy. It can be a lot. So
Yeah.
take the time that you need.
So what are some expectations that I had for mom? I feel like I have some big expectations and some minor ones. I think the minor ones are the ones that I get most frustrated with because I'm like, these are so simple. These are simple asks. So I guess one that comes to mind is if you're anything like us. Well, can I give a quick background on mom real quick?
Yeah.
So our parents immigrated to the United States in the 70s, came here, didn't have anything, war refugees. Our parents are Hmong, and so we're Hmong daughters to Hmong parents. And so if you have Asian parents or immigrant parents, they kind of have a similar type of mannerism, behavior pattern. And so our parents were pretty to themselves, not very open. And so for me, I like to communicate. I need to talk. And so growing up, mom and dad have hurt us, whether it was unintentional or intentional, but in the hurt that resurfaces, I address it. I want to talk about it. And I have a hard time when mom shuts me out with that. That's very difficult for me because to me, it's basic.
Yeah.
You hurt me. I want to talk about it. And I'm also at a point now where I'm not yelling at you, mom. I just want to talk about it. Remember when this happened? It made me sad. I feel this way. I think the hurtful thing is when it's not met with remorse, but it's met with guilt. And so she projects on me I've already told you to forgive me. So the hurtful piece in this is I want an apologetic mom. So my expectation is that she's remorseful.
Yeah, I can see that. And you're not wrong for wanting that, you know?
And I know I'm not wrong. And at the same time, I'm I may never get that. And I might have to be okay with that. And I know it's not okay.
That's true.
I have so many feelings I'm frustrated with mom. And I might just have to let it go. But I can also be okay that I have to just let it go.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. That's the first thing that comes to mind with me. What about you?
I think I used to want a really present mom who checks in and supports you. I was really hurt throughout college that I just didn't have that. And in childhood and being in high school too, I just kind of wished she was more present. But I've processed a lot and realized, okay, maybe it was hard for her to be present because of everything that was going on. So I'm also learning to have grace on her. And if anything, I feel like that helped me to let things go. But honestly, for a long time, especially in college, because that's when I started processing a lot more. I had a lot of anger towards mom. But I don't know. I think I came to a point where I'm all right, I've been angry for long enough. Not that there's a specific time you need to be done being angry by, but for me, I was just all right, I'm done being angry. I'm tired of it. I just want to move on. And so I'm going to let things go. And doesn't mean what she did was right, but I'm going to accept things for what they are now and accept the love that she has the capacity to give me and give what I can to her as well. So I think even just recently I learned that, maybe just this year, actually. So it hasn't been that long. Maybe since the beginning of the year, I decided okay, I'm going to try to respect her more in the way that I speak to her, especially with my tone. I think our family knows, my mom and I argued a lot, and I'm just learning to just talk to her more kindly and respectfully, just because, as a way to honor her, even though she has hurt me in the past. So, and, in the past, when I would find myself giving her attitude, I felt like that was a way of me having my guards up because she has hurt me so much. But I realized I didn't like that about myself. Like, I didn't want to have to be like have that tough exterior, and I would cry after I would like give my mom so much attitude because I don't want to be disrespectful. Because I'm like, if I'm not disrespectful to my friends and my sisters, my family, like, why would I treat my mom this way? And I wouldn't want any other people like treating my mom this way. So that gave me a different perspective to be like, okay, I want to love my mom in a way that is also loving to me.
Yeah.
And so I think I just lowered my expectations and we're like, okay, she's not that present and that's okay. And I realized if I lower my expectations, I lower my disappointment, the possibility of disappointment in the future.
Yeah, that is true.
I know that may sound crazy, but for me that was like helpful. And yeah, like, I mean, even now I think about like in the future, like when I have kids, I'm like, okay, if she's not that present, I will need to find a way to be okay with it. Not only for her to be present for my future kids, but like for me, because I'm like, we've never been moms before. Like, I want to be able to go to my mom and be like, hey mom, like, how did you deal with this and this and this? And I'm just learning to be like, okay, I might not get that and that's okay. Yeah. So while I was speaking, like, did anything come to mind for you? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I do want to add that, like, I understand exactly what you're saying when you're mentioning lowering your expectations, because it does if my disappointment is directly influenced by her not meeting my expectations, then it makes sense that they go hand in hand. So I guess for me, like, when I have to decrease my expectations with mom, it also highlights the part where she's hurt. Like, I see the hurt too. It's not just like we're like, okay, fine, I can't rely on mom for this, and that is what it is. But it's like, okay, can't rely on mom to be emotionally available because she doesn't know how. She just literally doesn't know how, and I just have to be okay with that.
We can't cry to her, and I'll find some other way to find comfort.
And I mean, as much as we want to cry to mom and we can't, I can still be upset with that.
You totally can.
I don't have to be like, oh, okay, like, oh, that's totally normal. No, it's not normal. I want a mom that I could be emotionally vulnerable with, but that's just not the fact of the matter here. I mean, another thing that I want from mom that I've had to learn to let go is spending time with her in a certain way.
Oh, how so?
Like, I want to be the kind of mom and daughter. I want to go get our nails done together. Like,
oh, that's cute.
I want to go shopping together, but she doesn't want to do stuff like that.
She might do the shopping part.
Like, she maybe like grocery shopping or something, but like mom is so used to not being pampered that like she doesn't want to do like leisure things. She only wants to do things that are productive, right? I've asked her, like, let me take you out to go eat, let me take you out to a restaurant, let me take you out to go get your nails done, like, let's do these things. She just doesn't want to. And so I feel like she's not meeting my love language. Like,
do you feel like it's because she doesn't want you to spend money on her because she's so frugal? Because in the past she's let me, and we've actually gone shopping together. She liked it.
It's possible. It is possible, but I think it's her guilt. Like, she doesn't know if I'm going to address something that she's not comfortable with, and she doesn't want to be stuck with me for that long. That she does that. And then I'm like, okay, well, I don't want her to be somewhere where she doesn't want to be.
Okay.
Because y'all know I'm not about that. I want people to enjoy their time.
Yeah. Because it's going to bring you down if she's also not enjoying it.
Yeah. So I don't even bother anymore. But it does make me sad. But I mean, it's okay. Like, the saddest part about this is that, like, when you continuously disappoint someone and they can't rely on you, they kind of just I don't reach out for certain things anymore. Like, I don't even rely on mom. And I want to, but I can't.
Yeah. I think one thing she always says is like be patient and like pray and read the Bible, okay? Trust in Jesus, okay? So I guess like spiritually, I guess religiously she's there. Like, I think mom is a prayer warrior. But it's just like, and I feel like we always heard this, like, you can't just pray and then that's it. Lord. Yes, I feel like there's a time and place and season for everything, and you can't always just pray and that's it. I feel like, I wish that in our lowest moments we could have gone to mom and be like, Mom, like, I need you right now to just comfort me. But I feel like we couldn't do that, because in our lowest moments we don't want to hear like, just pray. What is that gonna do?
It's not what y'all think it is. It really doesn't help me. I feel like, or she'll just be like, oh, it's because you don't have faith. And it's like,
Yeah,
do
that's
I really
really
need that right
disheartening.
now? Do I need that? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think sometimes I expect respect.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, do I need to work on letting that desire for respect go with mom? And not to say she doesn't respect me as a human, but I feel like sometimes because I'm not as religious-y as our brothers, she doesn't respect me and us the way that she does for some of our brothers. And that's kind of hard for me to accept, honestly. I feel like that's unfair and that's not loving.
Yeah.
So,
You know, and to just turn it on another angle, I also like, I feel sad that we can't really love mom in the way, we can't show up for her in the way that we want to, because she's so like withdrawn from things. Like, I want to show up and pop up and hang out with her or do certain things, but it's like, well, maybe she's not comfortable with receiving that. Like, it makes me sad because I feel like she rejects our love sometimes. Like, I feel like sometimes she wants us to say certain things to her to like soothe her, to comfort her, and when we do, I feel like it's not received either. So it's like, okay, you won't give to me, you won't receive from me. We're on this weird thing. I don't quite know what to do.
yeah, I very much see mom's inner child. I feel so sad for her. If anything, I feel more love for her. We were on the phone the other day, and I was telling her, I'm like, Mom, you know that we as your church, we love you, right? Like, especially we as sisters, when we come around and talk about you, it's never like, oh, she was such a bad mom. It was more like, man, we love her so much. Like, mom went through so much.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she fully understands that. Oh, my gosh.
Aww.
So I talked with mom about that. And I was like, Mom, can you just, like, accept that we love you? Like, is that hard for you?
What did she say?
And she said, you know, I realize that's a struggle of mine.
Aww.
And she said, it's hard for me to even accept love from God. And that was like, I felt like that was the first time that Mom was actually vulnerable with me. I didn't know that she struggled. And so even with God, she struggled. And even with us, she struggled. So that allowed me to understand her a lot more. Yeah. And in some ways, it's funny. I feel like out of us siblings, like, I'm the most like my mom. And they always tell me, like, to accept love and allow them to love me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I didn't know mom struggled with that. And that's why I'm glad that, like, like, we have these conversations, and I'm trying to understand my mom more too. I ask her so many questions. She's like, why are you interviewing me? Is there a reason why? I'm like, Mom, I just want to get to know you, because I feel like the more I know about you, the more I understand you and can love you better. So
that's really what we want. We want intimacy. We just want to love mom and understand her. Oh, it makes me sad that she has a hard time even accepting love from God. It reminds me of in the 4 Agreements that we judge ourselves more than anyone does. And it's like, Mom, you judge yourself. You have found yourself guilty, and therefore you don't feel like you are worthy.
I agree. And I think she carries a lot of, like, shame and guilt. And I'm like, Mom, why are you punishing yourself and God's not? And also, like, you've already apologized to us too, and that doesn't mean that, like, we need to just let it go. But, like, you don't need to keep on like, you know what I mean? And she asked me, she was like, so do you forgive me? And I was like, does it matter what I say? How do you feel, like, through the way I talk with you and treat you? I feel like, if anything, you should know by the way I'm speaking to you even right now.
Period. Okay, girl.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm just like, you know, I hope that she can be comforted. Like, I hope she can see us for who we are and really see, like, our loving hearts. Like, just because she feels that, like, she's not deserving of our love, it doesn't mean we don't love her.
Ooh, that makes me feel like mom wants to be affirmed. Like, Mom, I love you. We forgive you. This is... But I don't mind doing that, but I feel like sometimes even when we do that, it's not sufficient. Because, again, she judges herself, and she's like, there's no way they can forgive me, even if they say these things, because what I did was so bad. And I think if she just understood our hearts, like you said, she would see something else.
Maybe it'll take time. You know, she's been a mother for so long, and now we're all adults, and we're all doing our own things, and she finally gets to be that free little bird. She's finally just, like, maybe this is her time where she's finally beginning to process. Like how, for me, I didn't start processing till college. Maybe right now, or, like, the last few years, that's when she first started processing what she's gone through, and she's gone through a lot.
Oh, I didn't know mom had such a hard time like accepting love even from God.
Yeah, she told me that like she's working on that. I love that she was honest about it.
I feel like when we ask for like emotional openness from mom, she thinks that we want her to like bow down and to plead for our forgiveness. It's not that. It's tell me where you struggle. Like you have a hard time even accepting love from God, from us. Like why? Like help me love you. I want to love you. I want to understand you. It makes me sad that like she might not have the capacity to understand the like accuracy of what we are or the truth of where we come from. So that's why I want to build a relationship with her. I want her to see like we're not punishing you. We don't ask you these things to bring up the past just because we do love you. We want you to know that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess I do want like our community to know that like even when we talk about like the pain our mom has caused us or like the things that we've been through, it's not only with pain or hatred or anything like that. If anything, it's the opposite. It's with the understanding of the hurt that our parents have gone through and the hurt that they inflict because of the pain and the wounds that they haven't healed. And we just want this to be a place where we can like very like vulnerably talk about those things.
Yeah. We love her, and I know it can be really hard, especially to have that emotional intimacy with a parent, especially when you're Asian. I think it's just kind of hard and uncomfortable. When I was talking with mom and I was asking her about her childhood and if they cried together, like she said that she was like, we didn't do that. Especially, you know, so my mom lost her dad when she was a little girl. She's like, no, we didn't do that. We didn't know how to. We just did it alone, which makes sense why when our dad passed away, she didn't know how to comfort us and love us. So there's grace here, even though there's pain. And, you know, we love and we forgive our mom. And I hope that, Mom, if you're watching, you see.
You think she low-key subscribed?
No. You know, she'd be asking me, like, why I'm in town, like, and what we've been doing. I was like, we're recording. She's like, record G. I'm like, we're just talking, you know. I'm like, we're just talking about deep stuff.
I think she knows about our podcast. Like, we did tell her.
We did.
Yeah. So she knows
like
about it.
Last year, right?
Before, like, we had officially launched. We were in the process of it for a while, but.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, I love Mom. Sending her love. I hope she feels it. Yeah. Send your parents love. Tell them you love them. I think if your parents are anything like ours, I don't think they hear it enough, and that's why they don't know how to say it to you.
And just because I lowered my expectations don't mean I love her less. I think I'm just like doing it at my capacity and her capacity. Like I'm respecting like what she's able to give, and I can choose whether or not I want to be a part of that.
Yeah. We trust your perspective.
Yeah,
it's
we
like
trust
whatever
it.
you've gone through it. And I think like not having expectations for someone sounds like such a bad thing, but on the other hand, if you look at it like this, it's like I don't expect anything in particular. So it's like whatever love you give me, thank you.
And I do a little bit. Like when I go to her house, I'm like, I low-key expect some food. That's nice. And she be offering me food. So it's really nice. I love it. Because whenever I go to her house, like she always got some veggies or some fruits, and I like that.
Mom loves us in her way. Like in whatever way she loves, I want her to love me in that way. I don't think it's wrong that I want her to love me in some ways that I want a mom to. Yeah. But I've also gotten to the point where it's like I see the pattern of things, and it's foolish of me to want a mom who wants to go get her nails done with me every 2 weeks. She doesn't want to do that. So understanding, studying your parents and seeing how they want to be loved and how they love, it helps you a lot.
Yeah, and I don't think it's foolish of you. I think it's okay to want that.
Of which part?
The whole like I want to have a mom who I go shopping with and stuff.
Yeah, but I think it's foolish in the way of like if I keep wanting that and I'm hurting myself because she's not willing to give me something as simple as, that's just an example, but so I mean, maybe one day.
Maybe.
When I worked with Mom and so when I was like younger, I would get like sick and like I would like not be well, like when I was like in my earlier adult years. And so like I was just so skinny. I was like 105 pounds at this time, and I was just I had a 6-pack, okay? Like, I had abs.
Okay, get it, girl.
Okay, but it was just because I was skinny. And I was working with Mom. This is when I realized Mom worked so much. She worked so hard. And she looked at me, and she was like, your face is pale. And she goes into her bag and she gives me 2 granola bars.
Aww.
And I'm like, oh, Mom, what are you going to eat? She's like, oh, I gave them to you. I'm like, you gave me both granola bars? Like, it's just like,
that's sweet.
I know it's something so simple, but it's like, wow, like, I think sometimes we have like these huge expectations on Mom, like, Mom, I want you to do this and this and this. But it's like, okay, Mom loves us in these smaller doses. And it's like, okay, Mom, in the dose that you want to love me, and I accept that. So I gave her a granola bar back because I wanted to eat too. But I just like sweet. The heart of Mom, like, if we didn't look for the beauty in things, I think we would miss it.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
Like, what we've experienced as children, like, there is so much pain, but at the same time, there is so much beauty, like you said, when we look for it. Like, we've gone through so much, and I feel like that's all the more to be grateful because we're still here and we're well and we're healing with one another, and we didn't give up on each other.
No.
Yeah, and we have grace for one another.
Grace.
And I feel like that's so important, like, no matter, like, whether it's family or friends or a coworker, like, we're humans, and I always stress is, like, we're gonna let each other down, even if it's unintentionally. So just remembering, like, grace.
Yeah.
Grace.
Grace upon grace.
Well, thank you so much for having this discussion with us, and, if you want to share anything about your relationship with your parent and just what you've experienced, please feel free to comment below as well, and we want to hear your story, and we hope that you were blessed by hearing our discussion, and I hope that this brought some healing to you in whatever way that you need. So we'll see you next time.